So in our last video, we set up the categories and the contacts list page, but now we need to make it so that way we can go in and edit each of these items. So we need to create a contact form, either for editing or for updating. I like to make one form and allow it to do both of the functions. So I am going to start that now. I'm going to switch over to my editor, and then under my forms.php page, in this display contact form piece, that's where I'm going to start it. So I'm going to do a closing PHP tag and then open it right before the closing function bracket. So we need to do h3 class. We'll set that equal to GrayVG, so that way it uses the same class as our login piece. And then I'm going to echo our record ID. And what this is called right here, and you'll see what this is in a second, it's called the ternary operator. And this is just an inline if statement. So if the condition is true, then do the first piece. I don't think I got into that in my fname, and we're going to add in our record name as well. Alright, and if it's not true, then we're going to echo out new contact, so that way we have a new contact set up. So we have our conditional here. If that's true, then this statement here, in between the question mark and the colon, and then anything after the colon is the false piece for it. That just makes it a little bit easier to read, and it shortens your code quite a bit. Alright, so now we have our title put together. We need to create our form. So we're going to do form action. We're going to submit it back to itself. Method is equal to post, and name is equal to contact form. You don't really need the name, but I'm going to put it in there for right now anyways. Label, we're going to set for equal to fname, and we're going to use category as our label, and we're going to use a select. Name is equal to cat ID, and we got to create one default option. Select a category, and then everything after that we're going to do the cat equals get categories function, so that we have a list of all of our categories we have in our application, while cat is equal to MySQL fetch asoc cats, and we're going to echo out option value is equal to our current category, the ID. Alright, we're going to close that, and we need to do something so that way if the current record for the cat ID is equal to the category ID, then we need to echo selected. Otherwise, we don't do anything. And what this is going to do, it's going to check the record that we're passing in if something exists. If that category ID is equal to the ID that it's currently iterating over, and if it is, then it's going to set selected, and that option is going to be selected in our drop-down list once we get to the page if we're editing a record. Otherwise, it's going to be whatever our default value is, which is select a category. close out that value, that option, and then we're going to do the cat name and close out our option. And that's everything for our select statement. Oops, I can get out of this. And label for fname. Oh, whoops, I think I screwed that up. Label for cat ID. Alright, there we go. That makes a little more sense. And now our label for our first name. To create a text input type. Give it a name of fname. A value of whatever our value is. We're going to echo record fname. And ID is equal to fname. Alright, and then we'll do the same thing. We're going to drop down the line label for all name. Input type equals text. Value is equal to whatever our current records value is. And we'll give it an ID of name. Label for equals email. Oops, phone. Input type equals text. Sorry, these are taking a little bit of time. They're a little repetitive. Last one, label for email. Create our email label. Email. Alright, so that should be pretty much everything for our form. We do want to add an anchor, which will go back to list.php, which will act as our cancel button. So we're going to give it a class of cancel. Hold on. Alright, so we're going to continue. My dog had her squeaker toy and I take that away. Cancel. So we have our cancel anchor button. And then we need to create our submit button. So input type equals submit. Value equals submitted. And then here we're going to add in a div to the class of clear. And what this is going to do is once we get into adding the CSS, it's going to give us a little bit of space on the bottom. Otherwise, our wrapping div would cut halfway through our submit and cancel buttons. And then the last thing we need to add is our input type hidden value of and we need to check if our current record has an ID. If it does, then we need to echo out the record ID. Otherwise, we need to put out 0. Slide this over a little bit. And then we get to give it a name of ID. Alright, and that is it for our display contact form. We do need to do the processing piece, which shouldn't take too long. I'm going to jump over to that right now. Actually, I may need to go into another video for it. So why don't I do that? I'll do the processing piece in another video, and then we'll continue with the category after that, and then we'll get into the CSS. So stay tuned for another video. I know this is taking a little while, but I don't want to go too far with these, or take too long with these videos. So stay tuned for number 4, I believe.